is going to be a lot better. Okay, so as promised, we are here today to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the review, and I've been teasing it. I finally watched it when it came out at the beginning of February, and I'm really slow with a lot of things, especially these videos that are becoming longer and longer and require more and more work, and very few people watch them. So I thought instead of doing all of that and making this go out, I don't know, sometime in the middle of next month, we would just go live and I'll give you guys all my thoughts. I did write them down because I was planning on doing this in a regular review kind of thing. So it is in that format of how I do things, of like sectioning them off and stuff. But you guys are just gonna know my thoughts today without much of like, oh, here's a picture of what I'm talking about. Here's another picture. Maybe, I think this actually allows you to go back and put those things in. So I'll still put them in if I'm able to do that. But for now, you guys are just gonna have to use your imaginations. Spoilers in advance. I will be talking about some spoilery things. So if you haven't seen it, what are you doing here? But there's a lot of spoiler things I'm going to talk about. This isn't, well, I was stuck to my eyelash. This isn't going to be a full gracias lo odio situation, but it's kind of close. Well, no, not really. It's not that close, but I was very disappointed with this movie. Anyway, so let me read you guys what I have here on my computer where I write all my reviews. I probably should be doing this on a desk where I could just put the computer down. But I enjoy doing things the difficult way, as you can see. Okay, so in my headcanon, director Ryan Coogler saw Apocalypto and said, "What the heck is this crap? These Mayans deserve better." And boom, the version of Zaddy Namor we got was born. In 2017, the one-two punch of Wonder Woman and Black Panther were the movies I desperately needed at that time. Even now, I will watch clips of Wonder Woman on YouTube and cry. Just weep embarrassingly. So much crying. A life hack from me to you: cry in the shower. No one will notice and you will feel fully refreshed afterwards, and no one will know. You'll know, and now you know my secrets, but no one else will know. Anyway, both of these movies show how life without imperialism and patriarchy, how good that can be. Like Diana says in a panel from Superman Red Sun, man's world grows more insane every year. It is right that a place exists where women can be safe from their all-consuming lust. And honestly, yeah, I would like to extend that to racism, colonialism, and to folks of color. Black Panther 2017 imagined a world where imperialism left one part of Africa alone. That part was able to grow and exceed all expectations. It was amazing. Even though Black Panther was made for the Black diaspora, and I am obviously not part of that group, I still found it wonderful and empowering. I liken it to the GOAT, Bruce Lee, and his movies, and how his movies became a surprising part of the Black community in the 1970s. That is how I feel with media made for and by minorities. Stick it to my veins. Not to not to be too liberal Pollyanna about it, but I will highlight and celebrate all people of color and minorities as much as I can. As people of color, we have to have each other's backs and lift each other up as much as possible. This idea was better in theory than in practice. And like I said, this is just an experiment to see if this format works out better, if it's not as long, because I've noticed that I do tend to talk a lot. I will cut straight to the point. I will cut straight to the point, I promise. So, when I heard that Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever was going to bring indigenous Latin folks to the forefront, I was excited. Director Ryan Coogler took the time not only to build a world that celebrated Black excellence, but he also made a movie that looked really, really good. I was looking forward to similar treatment for the native Latin folks in the sequel. Then I watched the movie. I was disappointed, to say the least. Today, we are doing a straightforward movie review. All my feelings, disappointments, what I would have preferred, what I would have preferred to have seen in this movie. I'll try to keep it short, but I make no promises. I won't give you guys a recap here. I think it's better if you watch the movie, if you've seen the movie. Most folks who have asked for a review have already seen the movie, so I don't think it's necessary for me to do a recap. We all know what happens. If I talk about it, you might go and watch it again and be like, oh, I didn't notice that. And that might be better, actually. We all know it's on Disney Plus. Let's get going. So let's start off first with the good. There are some points that do fall into gracias lo odio territory, but I don't want to do that to this movie that tried pretty hard to be good. So let's first talk about all the good things in this movie in no particular order. The tribute to Chadwick Boseman. It was touching and really well done. We were rolling tears, and this is a big reason I will not be too critical or mean about this movie. Also, bonus points for not doing that deep fake CGI technology and to have Chadwick Boseman come back in this movie. Disney can't help themselves. We've seen them do that technology in Star Wars with the late, great Carrie Fisher. And they can't help themselves, but luckily Ryan Coogler can. So thank you for that. One of the themes of this movie was grief, and that was an interesting choice to make in this movie. This flick could have gone the route most other hero sequels go through and show the downside of revenge or how vigilantes are bad, but grief is much more interesting. It feeds into the vengeance, and we do see a little bit of that here with Shuri and her journey to becoming, spoilers, Black Panther. But grief allows people to grow and heal. Shuri going through grief, then acceptance, makes her character stronger and a better hero overall. Loss is a part of life, and how you deal with it can literally make or break you. Having grief be painful and complicated was the more interesting part of this movie. Angela Bassett is giving a performance here that is too good for the Marvel, that is too good for the Marvel oversaturation superhero movie machine. No joke, she deserves some kind of award for that performance. Hello. One person's watching. Yay. Okay, here we go. This movie showing how strong a matriarchy can be is great. There is never a women can't do that point in this movie. It also didn't feel the need to make a point that women can run things better than most men. The ladies in this movie just are out there being amazing, and that was awesome. I also enjoyed how it ties these women to the real life Black Panthers that eventually became women helping mothers and children in underprivileged neighborhoods. Black women have a history of lifting up their communities and helping others, and this movie helps showcase this in real life. So I enjoyed that. Let's see, maybe if I put my computer here, I could look more at you guys, and there we go, more at you guys in the camera instead of off reading what I wrote over there. There we go. Okay, Shuri becoming the Black Panther, that was a great part. There isn't a she can't do it, or it needs to be a man, or it needs to be one of those dudes that bark. There was never that moment. She becomes a Black Panther and no one ever questions it. It just happens, and that was great. Next thing, Lupita Nyong'o. I think she's amazing. Lupita was speaking Spanish and Spanish and Mayan, and that was super awesome. Plus, she looks spectacular. Holy smokes, mamacita. She looks amazing. I think this gives you guys a little bit of a background when I'm recording these. Just how long it takes and how many times I mess up and have to redo things. This is very much a behind the scenes. How do these videos get made? You could tell this is a one-woman project and not great. Okay. Michael B. Jordan. Do I need to say more? He's always looking good. Okay. Well, you guys, what a lot of folks were asking me about. Yeah, I agree. Her Spanish speaking skills were great, and she seemed so happy in that scene speaking Spanish, and I was happy for her, so that was awesome. Tenoch Huerta as Namor is fantastic casting. He was compelling and looked great in those shorts of shame. And I'm saying Tenoch because what the CH is now was an X in Nahuatl and makes a sh sound. Well, in different native languages, the place of the X yields different sounds, but CH is very unique. CH is a very unique Mexican thing. Only in Mexico are there so many words starting with CH or feature CH in them prominently. From the characters in the Roberto Gomez Bolaños universe to that Café Tacuba song, we all know it, de Pachucos, Cholos y Chuntos, Chichinflas y Malafachas. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I digress. I'm going with Tenoch, and that's what we're going with. Even though I have problems that we will talk about in a moment, I love seeing the mighty and great Mayans portrayed this way. Finally, some good portrayals, and I loved it. Well, let me see here. She said she jumped for joy when the director told her she had a Spanish-speaking scene. Yep. Hello. That's cool. Her being able to speak Spanish and like show that part of her upbringing and her heritage, so awesome. And I have to say, thank you, Ryan Coogler, and the rest of the team that made sure the Mayan civilization was represented so well. We are not going to get proper representation from Mexicans or other Latinos. We certainly were not going to get it from the white people. The fact that we got it from the black branch of the family, thank you. I appreciate it. Now it's time to get into the problems I had. I'm sorry in advance. It feels like I'm in the Blair Witch Project. Are you guys old enough to remember that movie, The Blair Witch Project, with this business happening? I think I'm showing my age here because I'm sure someone's going to Google and be like, wow, 1998, I think that movie came out in. Okay. So on to the things that disappointed me. Like I said, this is not a gracias o odio situation. It's just things that I was disappointed by, that I wish would have been done better, and I wish would have been handled differently. You guys' comments, I love you guys. Okay. So the disappointment. In this section, let's go from least bad to most disappointed. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of a hierarchy here, or like an order of badness. So, okay, here we go. I really don't want to speak poorly about this movie. It was fine. It was fine. Would I have preferred differently? We'll get into that right now. This movie is too dark. No one knows how to properly light movie sets anymore, and it is frustrating to me. I actually, you guys probably don't know this, I actually went to film school, and not like real film school. I didn't go to USC or UCLA or NYU, but I did go to a film school, and that's like, I have a little degree in my living room proving that I went and graduated from film school. So I do know a thing or two about this, like academically. And the fact that things aren't lit properly anymore is just the most frustrating thing to me ever. This is like super film school nerd stuff, but turn on a light. I have a ring light in front of me right now. You turn on a light, please, for the love of God. RRR, which is on Netflix and you guys should watch it, showed us how good movies can look in the studio. All completely CGI. And for Disney Marvel to be the biggest studio in the world with the most money and the most resources and the most everything, to not be able to light a screen properly is so frustrating. Turn on a damn light. You guys have access to the best people in the entire industry and you can't turn on any lights. This is why. Let's see. Yeah, you can't even see any of the action. You can't see anything. Like, what's the point, y'all? Okay. And like, I have one of those fancy smart TVs that we got on sale at Best Buy, and I was excited to watch this movie on that fancy TV because it's almost like going to the theater. Maybe a little better because you're able to pause it, but it was so dark. Why was it so dark? Anyway, movies are a visual medium. If you can't see what is happening, how can you get immersed in the experience? And I'm seeing a comment or two. Yes, you can't get immersed. You have to change the settings on your TV. The other frustration is, I remember reading how the cinematographer from the first Black Panther movie made it a point to make the cinematography work perfectly for darker skin tones. Historically, film stock, like actual film, back in the day, what you would record on, was made for light-skinned tones exclusively. If you were dark skinned back in the day, you would not show up on camera. So Black Panther 2017 changed mainstream cinematography so that they all look good. Darker skin tones look good. Lupita Nyong'o is particularly darker, and she always looked amazing in that first movie. She was lit so beautifully. They did not do that in this movie. That seemed to go out the window for Wakanda Forever, which is a shame because you have all the canela belleza, and we can't fully appreciate it because this movie is so dark. I wanted to see like brown skin. I know I'm not super brown, but like we don't celebrate brown skin in Latino culture as much as we should. And this movie had a perfect opportunity to show how beautiful it is, and they didn't do it. And that's disappointing. So disappointing. I know I'm probably look a little darker in this lighting, but I'm not very dark. And the fact that we're highlighting it with the indigenous tones and we couldn't see it, just so disappointing. Marvel can afford a light bill. It's probably not. Okay. Okay, so I can nitpick what is Mayan and what isn't. Like the fact that Namor is wearing gold. Wearing gold back then was an Aztec thing. Only the Aztecs had gold to wear. That's an Aztec thing. There's a shot in the movie where they're playing that like soccer. There's like a little thing and they play like ancient soccer, I'm gonna call it. Hello. Ancient soccer. That ancient soccer, Aztec. The greeting that they do, the Dragon Ball Z greeting that they do, also Aztec. Even the name Talocan is an Aztec, Mexica, Nahuatl word, and not Mayan. I think if you guys have seen the Apocalypto review, I do go off on how they confused Aztec and Mayan, and it's annoying. But the fact that we got this movie with that depiction and that much respect and beauty, I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm not going to hate too much on it. I'm not going to complain about those things that only I seem to notice and are annoyed by. I've done a lot of research for different videos on the different stuff that separates the different tribes and how there are more than just two tribes. So it annoys me. If you didn't notice it, I probably ruined it for you. But it's not that big of a deal. This is not where my problem lies. We will get there. It's annoying. I wrote here, it's annoying, pero no me hierve el hígado. We're okay. What I will complain about, however, why the Mayans? They were not really warriors, so to have them as this amazing warrior civilization is kind of weird to me. Like Purépecha, Tlaxcala, and Mexica, among so many other tribes, were the warrior tribes. Those are the folks who would go to war, who were the masters of going to war. Purépecha were unique in that they knew how to work metals, most notably silver. So if you go to that area of Mexico and you see a lot of metal work and silver work, Purépecha lineage right there. In my mind, the great warrior tribe that knows how to work vibranium should have been Purépecha. But no one knows about them, so they had to go with everything else, either Mexica, Aztec, or Mayan. But it should have been Purépecha. That would have been amazing had we seen a different tribe than the ones that we always see. There's so many other tribes, a lot of them who still exist to this day, but we don't get that. I'm developing this whole theory about how focusing only on a few tribes in Latin America is part of Eurocentrism. Only the tribes that interacted with the Spanish are the ones worth knowing anything about. It's something I've been kicking around in my head, and maybe in a different live, or if this format actually works, we might do videos more often. I do want to discuss that because this is something that's been bothering me, that we need to talk about other tribes that aren't just Aztec and Mayan. Okay, moving on. I'm looking at the clock here. You guys are probably busy. It's a Saturday afternoon and it is freezing in Los Angeles. I have no idea how it is where you guys are, but in Los Angeles, freezing. Thank you for agreeing, yes. Okay, back to the review. I thought since both Black Panther 1 and 2 follow the literary tradition of Afrofuturism, they do the same thing for the Mayans. Like so many depictions of native folks, the Mayans that we see here are ancient and kind of primitive. They are stuck in the 16th century, in the late 1500s, and they should be just as, if not more, advanced than the Wakandans. And that's going to be a controversial statement here, but hear me out. Why? Why should they be just as advanced or more advanced than the Wakandans? The Mayans were not warriors, and they didn't work any metals. But you know what the Mayans were? A bunch of architects, mathematics, astronomers, scientists, and technology nerds. All the stuff that supposedly only existed in Western civilization, who got lucky when the Arabs landed in Spain. Guess who did not need outside help with technology, with math, with science, with architecture? The Mayans. If any Mesoamerican tribe would be super advanced had colonialism never happened, it would be the Mayans. Where is that here? Sure, they have that sun thing in Tlalocan, because I'm a white girl. But that's not, they don't really go into the science of it or like, I invented this thing because I'm a science nerd. It's just there. And there's no real explanation for it. For all the talk of doing a ton of research, this is a thing that they never acknowledge. And it bothers me. Because again, they should be more advanced, but they're not. To be fair, maybe the reason these Mayans are not super advanced is because they can't have the villains, question mark, be more advanced than the heroes of the story. This is Wakanda Forever and not Tlalocan Forever. So I guess that's why. My sister also pointed out to me that if the filmmakers are following the literary tradition of Afrofuturism, what literary tradition is Latin America known for? Magical realism. Yes, thank you. Even though we don't see any of that here, I guess that's kind of what they were going for. With the magical sea people and Namor, who can fly, who has like little wings on his feet and can fly. So I don't know, the rest of it is way too, the word is archaic, way too ancient, way too primitive, way too old-timey, way too 1500s. They're stuck in the past, and that's just, it annoyed me. All right, moving. We're supposed to have a research department? Where's the research department? Okay, I guess that there's a lot of stuff that should have happened but didn't happen because of time and the plague that hit the world. Okay, and moving on. We It's so funny the more I talk about it, the more I'm just like it's kind of irritating. Okay, moving on though. I'm almost done, I promise. Speaking of sea people, why are they all blue? I wanted to see Canela Belleza and I got a Tianguis avatar. What the hell? Are they supposed to be blue because they're aquatic now? If they were, shouldn't they be more fish-like than human? Like, they shouldn't have hands or feet or nostrils or be thin. Whales are that size because they need insulation to protect their bodies from the freezing cold water. How can they swim so quickly? Oh yeah, I read that. We'll get to that. The Namor movie. We'll get there. Okay, sorry. Whales are that size because they need insulation to protect their bodies from the freezing cold water. How can they swim quickly with those fat headdresses? I have so many questions. Talocan folks being blue to explain that they're sea people now raises more questions for me than it answers. Like, it's the same thing I have with the live action Aladdin. The more they try to explain it, the less sense it makes to me because I started having a lot of questions. And I am one of those terrible CinemaSins videos where it's just like, well, then why this? Why that? Shouldn't they have like hands and feet in the water don't help you. If you're trying to hunt or get food, hands and feet in water are the worst thing to do, the worst things to have. How are they so human in the water? It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, but that's me. Maybe you guys were able to do that whole suspension of disbelief and be like, they're in the water and they're blue. Cool. Okay, so on to my biggest problem. This is finally, we're 32 minutes in. My biggest problem. Why are the Wakandans and the Talokans fighting each other? Why? Why is our zaddy Namor the villain? It makes absolutely no sense to me. They shouldn't be blue. Okay, this makes no sense. Both sides have the same problem and villain. The CIA and modern imperialism. So why are they fighting each other? This was the most annoying thing to me. Why are they fighting each other? They have no reason. They have nothing to do logically to fight each other. There's no reason. There's no motive. There's no nothing. They even have a scene where they're trying to talk to each other diplomatically, and you're like, oh, well, this problem's going to be solved. No, they need to have a problem because the movie needs to happen or something. I was so annoyed at those points when they're fighting each other, the Wakandans and the Tlaokans. I was yelling, gracias, lo odio, because it annoyed me so much. The CIA is right there. Both sides want the same thing. They can team up. They can resolve their problems with diplomacy. I said it in the Wednesday video and I stand by it now. I hate when minorities fight each other, especially in a story like this, where the people of color are supposed to be highlighting excellence. Okay, to that comment that I just saw right now. Sure, they were supposed to kill them, but then, okay, back to the earlier point that the more they try to explain it, the less it makes sense. So she invented that device that gets the vibranium. She invented it. The CIA already got their hands on the blueprints and they know how to build it. If they kill her, they still have the blueprints and how to build it, so that solves no problems. they would still have the problem would still be the CIA is getting into things that it shouldn't be getting into. It has nothing to do with Wakanda, it has everything to do with the CIA. So why are they fighting each other, Wakandans and Tlalocans, when they should be fighting the CIA? The whole problem here is the CIA. No one else is a problem except for the CIA. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. People of color was supposed to be highlighting excellence. I saw so much excellence. I didn't like that they were fighting each other. It made no sense. Zero sense. Why are they fighting each other? They should team up and take over the world. We would all be so much better off if that happened. But even in movies, we can't have nice things. Okay. On the positive side, I just went off on a tangent here. On the positive side, even though Namor is a villain, he is a memorable one and follows in the footsteps of Killmonger from the first movie. Their motivation not only makes sense, I wish we could do it in real life. It's more that he wasn't a villain, he was an anti-hero, and a good anti-hero because a lot of the stuff he was saying was making sense. I was vibing with it. I loved it a lot. Yes, the two sides fighting each other had me yelling, gracias, lo odio. Like a comment, I'm just reading my notes here. And like a comment that someone said that there isn't going to be a Namor movie because Universal has the rights to Namor and not Disney Marvel. I did read. Okay, yeah, they're probably doing to get stuff on to Disney Plus. I did read that we're going to see Namor again in the next Avengers movie. I think it's Avengers 5. Are we at 5 already? Wow. Yeah, so we're going to see Namor again. But they can't do a Disney Plus show. They can't do a movie because Universal has the rights to it. Disney should be able to buy those rights because they have all the money in the world. But who knows if they'll actually buy those so we could get a proper Namor movie, because it seems to be any other studio that doesn't have the rights, like the Spider-Man movies, they don't know how to do it properly. And for as much as I complain that Marvel is not great, they do know how to put out a pretty decent movie. So I do, and I'm sure you guys all do, want to see more Namor, want to see more Tenoch. We want to see a proper Tlalocan movie. I keep saying Tlalocan because that's the Nahuatl, but it's Tlalocan, even though it's Tlalocan. Semantics, I'm a nerd. Okay, what I would have preferred. Wakanda Forever had a great setup for a more interesting, less confused movie. Everyone is trying to plunder vibranium. Yeah, let's go to the dark side with Kang. Why not? They killed off Tony Stark and Black Widow, which she doesn't get any respect, but yeah, mostly Tony Stark. I love you 3000. Wakanda Forever had a great setup for a more interesting, less confused movie. So everyone is trying to plunder the vibranium. At the UN meeting, the Queen points out how diplomatic nations are in public, but how they steal resources in private, just like real life. The US stumbles across Talocan. Without knowing it's Talocan, Namor reaches out to Wakanda. It seems like they are at odds and are going to fight each other. Turns out Talocan and Wakanda teamed up and are luring the CIA to steal the vibranium. It's stolen both kingdoms, expose and reveal to the world how shady the CIA is and how bad modern imperialism is. They look golden. The CIA looks a fool. The end. I'm telling you, the villain of this story should have been the CIA, and I really wanted the CIA to be the villain. There's no reason why they shouldn't have been. I even saw the honest trailer for this movie, and even white boys' honest trailers pointed out that the CIA should be the villain. If they're noticing it, it's because that's a big blunder they did. The other idea I have, Namor and Talocan are planning to kill the surface world. Wakanda has to decide whether they should team up with Talocan to fight some places and save others. Should Wakanda really try to protect certain white devils? Can they protect the colonizers? That would have been more interesting, but we didn't get it. Why was Bilbo in this movie? And it's so weird to hear him not have a British accent. That's fun. This is another generational thing. You said Bilbo. I'm going to say Tim from The Office. And you'll be like, that's Jim. That's the American Office. I remember the British Office because I am that old. Jen, I'm just letting you guys know how old I am. Maybe in the next video, if my plans work out well and the next video is the one I want it to be, you guys will know exactly how old I am. And you'll be like, wow, you look great for the Crypt Keeper. Okay. My final thoughts. I understand, though, losing Chadwick Boseman was very traumatic for everyone involved. It's hard to be respectful, make a successful movie, balance themes, plot lines, and grieve. They did the best they could. Also, it feels like not making the CIA the villain was a studio note. Some Disney studio exec was responsible for that. And I guarantee you, was some cigar chomping studio executive who thinks they know better than Ryan Coogler, who made a really good Black Panther movie. But whatever. Like, maybe they did want to do that, but they couldn't. I will give the director and everyone involved in this movie the benefit of the doubt, but this is what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Okay, so for those of you guys who are watching this and will subsequently watch this, let me know if you enjoyed this movie, if anything that I pointed out annoyed you too or not, if I'm completely wrong in my hot takes and I just didn't get the point or I didn't understand it fully well, even though to do this review, I watched this movie 3 times. More frustrating each time than the last. Let me know all your thoughts as always. Thank you so much for watching. You 5 people who are watching this right now, thank you so much. I'm very honored and touched you guys would spend this time with me on a Sunday afternoon in freezing cold Los Angeles. Before I sign off, and if you guys want to keep talking, I'll be on the chat for another half hour once this ends, so you guys could keep talking and we could keep the conversation going, because I am very interested in to know what you guys think, because this depiction of Native folks in a mainstream, huge, big budget, important Disney Marvel movie is a major step, and I would think everyone would have a lot of feelings about it. I clearly had a lot. I want to know all your guys' feelings. But before I go, I decided to do shorter reviews on the YouTube Shorts. So if you go to the page, I have a few shorts where I do some reviews. If you guys want to request a movie that maybe you've requested it before, but I haven't gotten to it. I can get to it now with the YouTube short because admittedly, not every single movie I see is going to be like a long form thing like this or like a traditional movie. But in a short, we could get straight to the point. I could tell you all my thoughts and feelings, and we'll get there quickly. In 60 seconds, you have to go through all this preamble of film theory and lighting theory and auteur theory and queer theory and this theory and that theory. It's just straight to the point and all this stuff. So if you guys want to request any movies, any TV shows, anything, let me know. Leave it in a comment here or leave it in a comment in a different video. I promise I will get to it now. I finally figured it out and we'll get there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will end this now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, salud, mi familia. Let's see.